Hello everyone. In the previous video lecture, we saw the idea of reader as envisioned by various literary theoreticians. In today's lecture, we are going to see the figure of an ideal spectator anticipated for nāṭya or drama. In the text on dramatic theory, various words are used to designate the spectator, such as prekshaka, samajika, sabhya, sabhasada and so on. Depending upon the class of the audience who appreciates the drama, Bharata classifies the success of a drama into two, namely divine or daiviki and human or manushi. The divine success relates to the appreciation showered upon a drama by the cultured audience, who generally take interest in deeper and more subtle aspects of a dramatic performance, and they are above ordinary human beings. And the latter relates to the average spectators who are generally moved by outward aspects of dramatic performance. In the 27th adhyaya or chapter of Nāṭya Shastra, Bharata mentions the qualities of an ideal spectator or prekshaka. For him, an ideal spectator should have good vision and hearing. He should have the ability to distinguish between good and bad. He should be able to strike a balance between love and hatred. Bharata also lays a lot of emphasis on the spectator's ability to respond positively to aesthetic emotions expressed through drama. He says that ability to positively and emotionally respond to the events on the stage is an essential quality of a good spectator. He says that he who becomes happy upon seeing a person glad and sorrowful upon seeing a character suffering, and he who feels miserable on seeing him miserable is also considered fit to be a spectator in a drama. Here, what he means is that an ideal spectator is someone who has the ability to conceive within himself the right aesthetic emotion that the playwright intends to have in the spectator at different junctures of the story or drama. That said, Bharata does not mean to say that all these qualities can be seen in one single spectator. If the spectator is not a great connoisseur of art, he can also choose to judge what he is familiar with or good at. Bharata's observation in this respect is noteworthy here. He says, all these various qualities may not conglomerate in one single spectator because the realm of knowledge is so vast that the span of one life is not enough to cover it. The inferior persons in an assembly cannot be expected to appreciate the performance of the superior ones. In that case, spectators of inferior caliber should focus only on a particular dress, profession, speech and action that he is actually familiar with. Bharata also does not see all the spectators as equally skilled in the art of appreciating a drama. He sees nāṭya as the fifth Veda who anyone can watch, learn and enjoy. So, when he talks about the audience, he has all kinds of people in his mind, not necessarily the learned ones. Bharata claims that nāṭya teach duty to those who are interested in the lessons of duty, love to those who are eager for its fulfillment, and it chastises those who are ill-bred or unruly. It promotes self-restraint in those who are not disciplined. It gives courage to cowards, energy to heroic persons, enlightens men of poor intellect, and gives wisdom to the learned. It gives diversion to kings and firmness to persons afflicted with sorrow, and the rules of acquiring money to those who are for earning it, and it brings composure to persons who are agitated in their mind. So, Bharata is also of the opinion that different spectators may find different items attractive in a drama. So, the dramatist should take into account the nature of his audience before deciding on the topic of the drama. He says that Young spectators will be usually interested in seeing the representation of love. The learned one will be searching for a religious or philosophical doctrine. Those who seek money will be interested in topics related to the earning of wealth. The ones without any passion will look for the principles of liberation. The heroic ones will love to find the odious and terrible sentiments, the personal combats and battles. The old people will be interested in Puranic stories and stories of virtue. Women, children and uncultured men will look for comedy and makeup. So, the bottom line of Bharata's observation is that know your audience before you start it or before you stage the drama. It is also highly possible that there can be a dispute with respect to the judgment of the play. This situation particularly arises when the actors are competing for each other for a prize or a banner. In such a situation, it is mandatory that there should be a panel of judges. This panel of judges include an expert in the process of sacrifice, an actor, a prosodist, a grammarian, a king, an archer, a painter, a courtesan, a musician and a king's officer. Bharata also talks about the qualities of a judge. The judge who is going to declare the winner of a nāṭya performance should be of noble birth. He should be calm and well versed in shastras. He should be young and impartial and interested in fame and dharma. He should be familiar with the 4 kinds of acting and be good at the 6 natyangas. He should be of stable mind and should be adept at playing the 3 kinds of music instruments. He should know about costumes, various forms of arts, places and the languages spoken in various places or geographical locations. It is imperative that they should know grammar and poetic meters. In Nāṭya Shastra, Bharata clearly mentions the duty of each of these judges. An expert in sacrifice will be a judge in the representation of sacrifice. An actor will judge in general the histrionic representation. A prosodic judges the complicated meters. A grammarian analyzes the details of speech. A king is a judge in royal character and in matters related to the management of the harem. The archer judges the saushtava or the quality of the pose, and a painter judges the movements and dress and makeup which are at the bottom of dramatic production. A courtesan will be a judge in matters relating to the entertainment of love, and a musician is a judge of the application of notes or swaras and tala or rhythm. And an officer or the king will evaluate the matter of showing courtesies. If there is a dispute among people who know shastras, then the debate should be based on the dictums mentioned in the shastras or scientific treatises. In course of deciding a controversy, one should observe the performance of the parties involved without any partiality, and they should not take into account blemishes, especially caused by gods, enemies and portents. Blemishes from gods are the strong wind, fire, rains, fear from an elephant or a serpent, stroke of lightning, appearance of ants, insects, a beast of prey, killing animals, etc. Blemishes created by an enemy include screaming, buzzing, noisy clapping and the throwing of cow dungs, clouds of earth, grass and stones to the place of performance. Blemishes created by an enemy are considered by the wise to be due to jealousy, hostility to the party injured, etc. Blemishes due to portents result from portents such as the earthquake, storm, the falling of meteors and the ilk. Bharata opines that these judges or examiners should neither be too near the stage nor too far from it. Their seats should be at a distance of 6 yards from the stage on which the performance happens. While deciding the merits of the drama, the judges or the observers should not be partial at all. Although critics and creative writers of Sanskrit Kavya tradition often held the reader in high esteem, considering them as the true judges of poets' creative excellence, nobody in fact took up the question of the reader's involvement in the production of a text's aesthetic emotion or rasa or its meaning. They all subscribe to the notion that an author supplies meaning and aesthetic emotion while the reader, the sahridaya, receives and relishes them passively. In other words, neither Sanskrit literary theoreticians nor creative writers till around the 10th century ascribed any agency to the figure of the reader in the production of a text's signification or meaning or aesthetic emotion or rasa. For the earliest thinkers like Bhatta Lollada, rasa was actually located in the character. Although the 9th century literary critic Shanguka incorporated reader or spectator within his discursive framework, his theory also remained essentially text oriented. Shanguka's theory stated that rasa cannot be directly perceived but can only be inferred by the reader from the imitation of characters and situations enacted by actors. So in his theory of Anumana, Shanguka was preoccupied primarily, especially solely, with the nature of this imitation. The process of inference that the reader or spectator performed was completely ignored or sidelined. Similarly, Anandavardhana, who wrote Dhvanyaloka to reveal to Sahridayas the ontology of Dhvani or poetic suggestion, also turned a blind eye to the figure of the reader. Pollock observes, Anandavardhana too is completely silent on how the reader knows of rasa or experiences it. He is concerned only with textual, even formalistic processes when arguing that rasa is something that can never be directly expressed but only suggested or implied. The first literary critic in Sanskrit Kavya Shastra to talk about the reader's involvement in the process of aesthetic enjoyment was the 10th century literary critic Bhattanayaka, followed by his disciple Abhinavagupta in the 11th century. So according to both Bhattanayaka and Abhinavagupta, rasa is neither perceived in the actor nor is perceived by the spectators in themselves. Rasa, he says, on the other hand, is enjoyed by the spectators with the power of a special capacity called bhavana. So we will discuss it in detail when we discuss the rasa theory. So you don't need to be worried about these concepts.